I'm the sports professor, Rick Horrow. Welcome to Beyond the Scoreboard, Inside the Mega Events. It's a $1 trillion sports business, to be sure, and about 50 to 60% of those dollars are wrapped up in the mega events, the championships, Super Bowls, All-Star Games, World Series, Wimbledon, tennis majors, golf majors, NASCAR championships, IndyCar championships, Ryder Cup. All of those too numerous to mention. I'm in my office to kick off the show, but I'm not here a lot. I'll be on the road on a weekly basis to bring you the inside tips from those major events. The balance sheets, who wins, who loses, the interviews, how you put on the events, and how you sustain them. This is all brought to you by Edelman Financial.
Money doesn't come with instructions. That's why we created Edelman Financial Services to help you with everything from college and retirement planning to managing your investments, helping you achieve retirement security. We're among the nation's top financial advisors. Come see how we can help you.
With star power and a brand spanking new stadium, things are looking up for DC United. Certainly exciting times, which is why we're happy to welcome co-chairman and managing partner Jason Levian to the show, along with CRO Andy Bush. The biggest challenge that a neophyte would see is how to distinguish this sport, the fifth major sport, in a very, very crowded DC landscape. How do you do it?
We have a little bit of the perfect storm, though, and Jason and the team bringing in Wayne Rooney, which was such a bold move, and then having Wayne Rooney at his level come into the league and into the team and be very much as one of the teammates, not a global superstar. Started to win, brand new field, like all the elements are sort of aligned. The redevelopment of Buzzard Point, the Navy Yard, the Wharf, it's kind of all laid in front of us, and now, you know, for us, it's regardless of performance, it's how we create that community impact and the sponsor impact. So it kind of goes back to the same thing, but we're a new building, which everyone's excited about. Thankfully, it's an amazing stadium that creates an energy you don't see, very much more European than traditional American venue. It's tight, there's no bad sight lines. The energy and the noise that our supporters create is not matched with other sports, especially in this region. So it's by design.
We talked a little bit about the passion of the fans, and the hospitality is really important too. So talk a little bit about your input in designing a stadium like this, basically for the fans.
Well, I will say this. It wasn't as clear cut in 2012 that we should be right downtown in Buzzard Point in the district. So we went out and talked to the governor of Virginia. We certainly talked to the Maryland Stadium Authority about sites in between Baltimore and Washington. But as we looked at it, we looked at the success that Major League Soccer stadiums had and where they were really sort of next level. We realized that being downtown was the key. So I think that we would have been here a few years earlier, certainly, had we built a stadium in suburban Maryland or suburban Virginia. But making that decision to be in the district, it came with its challenges. Certainly our site has challenges with some of the neighbors and some of the issues around the power lines and all of this. But long-term for our fans, having them come together and congregate in this new hot neighborhood in Washington, that's been a big part of what's been a fan improvement.
Power lines are important. You don't want to be hit by one, but when you compare it to $7.5 million in annual tax revenue and the $19 million of wages and the spending dollars that are uncontested from all the economic impact studies, I assume you're at projections on all of that?
This thing is such a slam dunk home run, any sports metaphor you want to name, for Buzzard Point. You know, one of the things we did is when we got there and we started excavating the soil, we realized a lot of it was contaminated because there had been a scrapyard on the site. So we took
better that than Indian.
That's right. That's right. Because we can get rid of that soil.
Yeah.
So we took all that soil and got rid of it. And so, you know, a lot of the neighbors have been so pleased because when they understand the environmental impact of that stadium, the job creation impact of that stadium, the sort of local jobs that we've been generating, the revenue we've been generating, it's been a huge impetus for more growth in Buzzard Point. And so, I think the next 5 years between the Navy Yard and the Wharf, which have certainly already come ahead of us and are massively successful, I think you're going to see Buzzard Point be the fulcrum for all of that.
An incredibly important point, too, again, with the vision. When you look at stadiums and arenas around the country, probably 30% of them are being done out in the suburbs because they're convenient, but the Bill Fords and the Lions of the world and people that want downtown stadiums make the hard choice because facilities like this should be anchors for larger development with magnets to them, not just because they're convenient for the team. Have you seen a lot of that, Andy, as far as development is concerned and activity around the place? You got people coming into this area that haven't been there before, right?
Yeah, we see it really directly with just the inbound for us is all the local businesses restaurateurs to cleaning services, just who want to come in and that it's easily accessible for all of them. So for each local person, it's now an opportunity because it's not 30 miles away. So I'd say that just what are you doing next? What gets built next? How do I participate? So we've had a lot of just DC-based businesses want to use the stadium, conduct their own meetings there, and then even recruiting as they get new contracts and different things like that. So we've seen the level of participation on an inbound standpoint has been pretty incredible in the last 6 months.
So John Wall, Ovechkin, Scherzer, Rooney, do they all compete? Do they all lift all boats? Why, or is it important to have that definitive superstar to succeed in the DC market?
I think it's important to win. I think when you start to win and you have the right kind of chemistry on the pitch, just like you might have it on the court or on the ice, fans gravitate towards that, and you build an identity around that. So the number one factor we looked at when we brought in Wayne Rooney is he going to help us win? Is he going to make us more competitive? Is he going to make our product more compelling because we're showing that we want to win? So a lot of people asked us, they said, is this just a marketing ploy? This guy Rooney, he's 32, he looks, maybe he's washed up. And we did our homework and we said, this will work if we're successful on the field. And fortunately, that's really worked out for us. But I don't think it would work just to bring a big name in if we didn't have that success.
But very well done. Now, you're not the soccer guy, but you're all things to all people. You can actually go out and use Rooney in your political, marketing, development aspects of what you need to do all over the region, right?
Yeah, his social reach is incredible, so it's always a great starting point to get our message delivered, kind of more from us and how it builds a broader strategy for all of DC United. So, I mean, he's the start, and then when he follows through, the rest of our team really does as well, because he's leading by example from that front. So it's a great communication tool for us.
By the way, I just want to say this. You talk about the superstars in DC.
Yeah.
Wayne Rooney has a bigger social media following than all of them combined. It's incredible. The reach of soccer and the reach of his career is just incredible.
More from the pitch with our friends from DC United. Soccer's the most popular sport on the planet, but that's not exactly true here in the United States. So what gives? What's the future of soccer in America? That and more when Beyond the Scoreboard returns. Welcome back to Beyond the Scoreboard. And some basketball fans out there have what you might call a borderline unhealthy obsession with shoes. The NBA and Marvel are taking advantage of that, unveiling a campaign for a limited edition Heroes Among Us shoe collection that became available during the NBA playoffs. Wizards star John Wall, with his Captain America shoes, joined a group of current and former NBA stars, along with the WNBA's Candace Parker, to collaborate with the highly popular Avengers Endgame release.
When I was in law school, I remember they used to say, and before that, they used to say that soccer was the sport of the future and always will be. And was it ever going to catch on? Was it ever going to really hit? And
Wait for the next generation.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
What I've seen in the last 10 years is remarkable. And I'm not sure if the path to that growth was as clearly seen even in 2012 as it is now. So I see soccer, to mix metaphors, hockey sticking right now.
Yeah.
I think the growth, the 80 million soccer fans in the United States that are getting more robust as the country becomes more diverse, as a new generation is learning sport, and that soccer is still very young, and it's in its infancy in the U.S. But what it's done around the world is tremendous, and so I think the future is amazing.
Premier League, just quick, like lightning round question. The Saturday, Sunday morning, every game help because it increases exposure or hurts because the product here isn't as good?
I think it's some of both. I think that it's helped on balance. It helps. I think there's such passion for soccer that we understand how we don't need to create more soccer fans. By the way, what we need to do is get the soccer fans in the U.S. to be more excited about MLS. So you see the passion in the Premier League, especially in this market in Washington D.C. We were talking about that earlier. You look at the ratings in D.C. and the surrounding areas in Richmond and Baltimore and Norfolk. It's tremendous. So it shows you what the potential is as we continue to improve the product and the fan experience.
Do we think that the 2022 Qatar World Cup and then the bridge to the 2026 World Cup here help because they're a couple of really important lines in the sand we're all gearing toward?
I think the attention span of the American sports fan is going to be on soccer between now and 2026 in a major way, maybe like it's never been before. So I think that's going to help us quite a bit.
You?
I just think our environment here, again, kind of localizing it, is everything for us is getting that hardcore soccer fan and the event fan to Audi Field, because it's going to feel like a similar environment if they've ever watched anything specifically to the Premier League. So for us, that's that next step, is we become the home of soccer, whether it's the World Cup, whether it's Saturday morning. It doesn't matter what team they support, and then convincing them to become DC United fans.
Is the ultimate goal as well to convert Redskin fans or convert Premier League fans?
I think it's already happening in both ends. I think that if you look at our demographic
Well, the Redskins kind of help.
That's
but
right.
We'll leave that alone. But
No, but our demographic, we have a younger fan base overall. We've got a fan base that's very diverse. So I think if you look at the demographics of Washington, D.C. and the country and where they're headed, I think we're very well situated.
Yeah, I think we partner really well with the NBA, and I think as their season comes out and our season starts, I think it complements each other, and I definitely think the youth of our fan and the development in and around the district is plays to our favor.
I think Andy brings up a good point also earlier about the schedule, having that consistency of programming. I think the league has done a good job of making improvements, even in the 7 or 8 years I've been involved with the league in doing that. But that's going to be key as we look to 2022 and the new media deal.
Yes, and also the league has probably started and stopped in different spaces more than a lot of other leagues, but it's emerged relatively unscathed. I mean, it's been a good experiment with the calendar. I think.
With the calendar, they've tried that. Even with the rules early on, if you remember in the league, they had shootouts after every game. They had all kinds of different things they experimented with.
You don't like shootouts?
Well, I think what's happened is you realize the soccer fans love the sport of soccer.
Yeah.
And we don't need to make it more exciting because it is so incredibly exciting. And I think that's what they've learned over time.
Interesting. A couple of quickies. Gambling. Really, 10 years ago, NFL, everybody wouldn't touch it. Now, you can't live without it. So I know you've got relationships. I don't know how much you can talk about as done deals, but you're big into the whole process of legalized gambling and making it easy for your fans, right?
Yeah, I think it's a component of our hospitality programming. It's going to be a fun addition of how our fans engage with it. It's such a part of soccer culture, especially in Europe, and transforming those European fans into DC United fans will be kind of another opportunity for us. So if we do it in a way that's responsible, I think it's a great enhancement, and I think our league is very going to lead the way in those efforts and the best practices to do it.
And finding partners who have had experience across the pond doing it right would be important, right?
I think that's right. I mean, it's such a big part of the culture in Europe, as Andy said, and we've experienced that. I've experienced that with Swansea. That you see it can be a big component to making our fans engage with the content in a different way.
I think so too. Esports. Is every team in the MLS going to have an esport team as well, like the NBA does? What's your prediction?
We have one now. We're one of the 18, I think, members right now, Andy. So
have you seen him play video games? By the way, he's really good. I mean, really good. So
how does he play esports though? He plays video games well.
I don't know.
That's why I'm over here.
Yeah. So you're out ahead of the curve, as you should be. But so we consider it a sport, or certainly we could debate whether it's a sport or not. But it's a big revenue producer down the road. So you're in the middle of it.
I'm in the middle of it. I've got a 7-year-old, and we play FIFA like crazy.
Yeah.
So I will tell you what, it's an amazing game. It's an amazing game to learn the players and be a part of that excitement. So we started our EMLS team this year. It was our first year. We did fairly well, but that is definitely an area of growth, especially with our demographic of so many young people following the league.
Are you guys kind of bringing the rest of the league along as far as EMLS teams? Are other teams going to be doing the same thing?
They're doing it. I mean, the league is very much on the forefront of that, Andy. I think you've seen that.
Yeah, without question. The majority of the league is already participating, and it wasn't elbow twisting. It was, let's get point of entry right and keep moving forward.
And here's hoping, by the way, that as the e-sport is accepted as an Olympic sport, which 5 years ago nobody had even thought of, that we find a game that's a little more benign and docile than the ones that you cut people's heads off and throw them in the garbage. And maybe the FIFA game is the game that you take. I mean, we're very close to that as far as Olympics are concerned.
Yeah, well, the FIFA game has done amazing things for the sport of soccer in the U.S.
Yeah.
So I think it has that ability to transcend. And I know a lot of people who are sports fans who don't necessarily love soccer but know FIFA. And they know the players on these different teams because of that.
Both of you, where is the franchise, you first, 10 years from now?
The example and standard for professional sports and how to be a corporate citizen and succeed on the pitch.
Typical aspiration of Andy's, and he's going to pull it off too. Jason?
What he said. No, I love that. I think that kind of vision that Andy has is I share it with him, and we see that growth opportunity. You know, we're in the nation's capital. We're the beautiful game for the world, and bringing those two together is something that's going to be really special in the next 10 years.
You can tell, DC United, pretty good hands. Rick Horrow, speak with you soon.